I was thinking it's pushing on to about a half a year or so. Well, delighted to see you. We know you have all sorts of adventures to share with us, but as you know, we like to start off with a song, so whatever you'd like to play, we'd love to hear.
Okay, this is one of my newer songs from last year, and it is called Radiant. Both the girl with her guitar and all the drinkers at the bar, I wonder if I'll see their face a second time. But I'm delighted by the show, like chemicals I can't control. It's a feeling I have known all of my life. Maybe we're radiant, maybe we're faking it. Is there any difference in the end? But like a bird in flight, all the stars that shine, love is all we know of solid land, just breath and hands. I always wanted it to last, but everything falls through the cracks, and I have yet to make my peace with a goodbye. But like a kitten with a toy, enraptured by such fleeting joy, I do not think it is a waste of time. Maybe we're radiant, maybe we're faking it. Is there any difference in the end? But like a bird in flight, all the stars that shine, love is all we know of solid land, just breath and hands, 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 breath and hands. Maybe we're radiant, maybe we're faking it. Is there any difference in the end? But like a bird in flight, all the stars that shine, love is all we know of solid land, just breath and hands, breath and hands, breath and hands. Oh. Thank you, y'all.
John Gillespie, newish song, Radiant?
Yeah.
And how new?
I think I wrote it last summer. I think it was.
So, John, how has the last couple of years been for you in terms of productivity?
As far as songwriting or performing or
Let's talk about songwriting first.
songwriting, it was 2023 was a magical year for me. It concluded in making a live album at the Eno House just down the road from here, and some of y'all were here. we're at that show. The following year, 2024, was also beautiful and marvelous, and I wrote 5 songs. I'm in love with all of them, and it's one of my goals now to try to actually be a better parent to my songs, because for years when I was a teacher, I would write songs, I would make records, and then I would play one show, and that would be it. And so I have a lot of these songs that I sort of refer to as my orphans, because I've never really given them the nurture that they needed, and I'm trying to rectify that. So 5 in a year feels great to me.
Sounds good to me.
That does sound good.
So the Eno House show, you said that it was a live recording. Is that out on Bandcamp?
Yes, it is. I have 2. My recent work I've been doing through Bandcamp because they just are the most artist-friendly thing around. And that's where I released last March the Live at the Eno House, which is 14 songs that I recorded that night. And also, a couple months later, I had 2 songs that I had recorded earlier, but had never released, that I recorded at Mike Garrigan's studio in Greensboro. And those were also just one guitar and one voice songs. So that's out on a little tiny 2-song EP or single, whatever you want to call it, that I called 1990 because the songs are from 1990.
Nice. Well, can't wait to hear what you have for us next.
Yeah. Yes. And is it okay if I do a little promotion right now?
Absolutely.
As long as it's okay if I can say that Sid Luis says applause from Ohio.
Oh, thank you, Sid. Yes, and this might also be a good time for us to do one of the ticket giveaways. My main priority tonight was to promote and to let people know that I'm playing next Friday, Valentine's Day, with my songwriting hero, Alexa Rose. I had the amazing good fortune to open for her at the Eno House last March, and this is my second time opening for her, and I have no idea at all if that'll ever happen again, but it's just such a blessing to be able to play with somebody I admire so much. And so the Wake Forest Listening Room was generous enough to allow me to give away 2 pairs of tickets. So
Sweet.
If you are listening and you type in on the Facebook feed the word tickets, you get one of those pairs.
Anyone, first person to type in tickets on any of our live streams, and we live stream at Whoop Ass the Hat at WHUP Pass the Hat on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We monitor all 3 of them in a single pane of glass dashboard we have here. First person to type in tickets, you get tickets.
Yeah. And this is a song that I wrote last year using the same tuning. That the last song I used this kind of strange variation of Dadgad, which is kind of where I live these days. Mm-hmm. But it's D-A-D-G-B-C. So it has kind of this like a major chord built in, but without a third. So I can still sort of do all the major and minor chords that Dadgad allows. I'm sorry if I'm speaking too in terminology or whatever, but
a lot of our listeners are musicians, so
yes,
you're talking their language.
Awesome. And so this is a song called Lies that I wrote about songwriting. And I tend to preface it by saying that it's called Lies, but it's probably the truest confession about how I work as a writer that I've ever written. So it's called Lies. Another song about something I figured out, as if another metaphor could open up the door. Like every other dreamy kid, I hardly remember it. When I write it down, I find the margins never fit. I keep reaching for that line, keep coming up with lies, so I can't sleep at night. And every time I think it's you I find, but maybe it's my mind that I keep struggling to hide. Everything I think I know, I'm sure you've heard it all before. Even if it's new, I hardly know what it is for. I am always diving in the water and I can't pretend I ever have a clue about the way the story ends. I keep reaching for that line, keep coming up with lies, so I can't sleep at night. And every time I think it's you I find, maybe it's my mind that I keep struggling to reaching for that line, keep coming up with lies, so I can't sleep at night. And every time I think it's you I find, but maybe it's my mind that I keep struggling to hide. Oh, maybe it's my mind that I keep struggling to hide.
John Gillespie throwing in some funky jazzy chord at the end.
Thank you. I think it's just
Pretty
like a
nice.
C major. Yeah.
Not C major plus some other.
Or I've got a capo on, so.
Which
John,
Gabriella LaFoley says she's Googling 1990 and revisiting Dadgad and thinks that's a wonderful way to spend a cold and windy Shropshire evening.
Oh, awesome.
You are
But
international tonight.
Gabrielle, 1990, that little two-song thing is in standard tuning, but almost all of, or most of, Live at the Eno House is Dadgad.
so John, moving around in these different tunings, send you in different places as a songwriter, I expect?
Yeah. I mean, it just opens up a lot of doors, and it's like one of the big confessions in that song is the fact that I usually don't have any kind of plan. I just sort of start, and once some words fit on a page, I sort of mold that little bit of clay. It's like, oh, well, that looks like that's what I'm talking about, and it's sort of So usually my second verses tend to have more focus than my first, but it's so intuitive and it's so different than writing in any other capacity in my life, where I'm usually like I have a clear idea of what I'm trying to say, whereas with music I just start and then I find what it is that I was trying to say without even knowing it. And the open tuning is great because now even my guitar work is kind of in that same vein.
We've had a few artists recently. I would say we've had a spate of artists in the past 2 to 3 months. And I'm getting the idea that plans are very much out of fashion now when it comes to creation. I've been hearing a lot of this, they don't say it magically happens, but they say, in the beginning, it just happens. And then I make plans around that.
It's more like they're channeling something in the ether rather than having a plan to write a song about a particular thing.
I support this.
Is that
I
how
need
you write
fewer,
poems?
I don't know. I just need fewer plans in my life, so
Amen.
good job.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's sort of like free association in the beginning. And I've always been one of those singers, I'm 55, and I grew up listening to a lot of early REM, and I didn't know anything about what was being said. It was just everybody came up with their own ideas of what those lyrics were.
Mm-hmm.
And so that felt really normal to me. And then when I started writing songs, I would start that way, like just a bunch of nonsense, and eventually something would form out of it. So, it's sort of like a free association in the beginning, and then things start to come into focus.
Well, in many ways, at least in my mind, that's kind of the perfect song, the song that you just create a skeleton for, and everybody who listens to it fleshes it out in their head by themselves. So you're not giving them too much detail, and then now they make it their own. That's kind of the opposite of, like the troubadour who's telling you a story.
Yeah.
Here you're just kind of giving folks the skeletons, and they can wrap the emotions and the backstory, whatever, from their lives into your song.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the things that I adore so much about Alexa Rose's music is there's always a certain amount of impressionism or vagueness that allows interpretation by the listener.
I am prepared to interpret more of your music. Will you play us another song?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a song called Alive, and it's on, I think it's the second song on Live at the Eno House. And it's one that I wrote very much channeling my guitar. Alexa is my word idol, and my guitar idol was Amér Gauthier of Durham's Des Arcs. That changed my life, seeing her music and seeing that band a lot. And that's when I started using open tunings, never as bold as hers, but this song I wrote after watching a video where she was trying to explain one of her songs, and she was like, oh, it's so easy. And it's like, oh, yeah, sort of. Anyway, but she was using a lot of harmonics, and that kind of inspired the beginning of this song. Wanna break it all down. It doesn't make sense anyhow. Was it fake? Everything that we found. Were you made for just work to keep your head down? When you were young, they said you couldn't know. When you're older, they just leave you alone. We are alive, then it passed the time. We are alive, more than to raise a price. A flickering light before a curtain of night. You were made to shine just because you're alive. Where's the key? Where's the key? Where's the key? Where's the key to this door? Do I need any more? Look at her, look at him, look at them. We're all keeping score. Were you made for just work and nothing more? When you were young, they said you couldn't know. When you're older, they just leave you alone. We are alive, more than it passed the time. We are alive, more than to raise a price. A flickering light before a curtain of night. We were made to shine just because we are alive. We are alive, more than to pass the time. We are alive, more than to raise a price. A flickering light for a curtain of nights. You were made to shine just because you're alive. When you were young, they said you couldn't know. When you're older, they just leave you alone. We are alive, more than to pass the time. We are alive, more than to raise a price. We are alive, it isn't a crime. We are alive, more than to pass the time.
John Gillespie here on Pass the Hat. Beautiful, beautiful song. John, because we are on video, and we always like to talk about instruments that come in the studio, that is a fascinating guitar. Tell us about that one.
So I'm sort of an early adopter of the Fender Acoustasonic guitars. I mentioned, maybe it was in the break or earlier, about this new band of mine called Pillowfoot, and it's a bass guitar, bass electric guitar, drums, me
And this.
kind of band. And so I saw that the drummer, Ian Schreier, had reposted a picture from Michael Slaughter from Heyday Guitars up in Winston of the Telecaster version of this. And I was like, is he trying to tell me something? Like, maybe I should get this guitar? They are perfect for if you want to play acoustic with a band, because there is nothing that will make this feedback, like nothing. So you can play blistering loud, and of course, this music that you're hearing tonight is not meant that way. But I've really I enjoy the fact that it's got a sort of a little bit of an electric profile, but I think electric guitarists would be really frustrated with the fact that this neck and the string tension feels just like an acoustic. And that's much more stiff than they're used to. Right. So,
but the sound is sort of a hybrid and almost has a little bit of a classical guitar sound in there too. Yeah. Is that a black thing in the sound hole? Is that the pickup?
That's the only pickup.
Wow.
This is the Highway series, and so it's very stripped down from the original, which you could like flip a switch and all of a sudden you'd be like an electric guitar with a very stiff neck, but but this thing doesn't do that. It only does this. That's all it does. And
what sounds wonderful.
Yeah, I love it, and I play all the time in my kitchen, and I don't even plug it in. It's just, I love it.
Thank you, Kirk, for turning it into gear time, because I was thinking the same thing. After that song, we needed to talk about the guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
it sounds really good in the headphones. I get to do the board tonight, and it sounds very, very good.
I spend so much of my life in headphones, it's crazy.
Well, John, we should reset real quick because nobody has claimed tickets, and we should remind folks that you are opening for Alexa Rose at the Wake Forest Listening Room next Friday, February 14th, and the first person to comment tickets on the live stream or on the video gets tickets.
Yes.
Gets two tickets.
Gets 2 tickets. So
what a wonderful way to spend Valentine's Day, y'all.
Yeah, and if you've never seen Alexa Rose, you are in for a tremendous gift.
Oh, she's amazing. And if you've been listening to Pass the Hat for the past 6 months, you have heard Alexa Rose a few times.
Glad. She's fantastic. Are there any other PSAs we got to do?
Only that we should hear more John Gillespie music.
Yes.
And we hope that you're not going to run out.
Oh, of songs?
If we lock the door, it's a very effective way of
John has a
keeping
list
music.
there, but then there are another 100 on the back of the page, I think.
Oh, yeah, I definitely can do more than I planned here. I sort of was going from from previous shows. And so I also made this list, so any of the last 3 songs would be fine if they were the last one. Yeah.
You also, you kind of opened the show with talking about these songs as almost like they're living beings. I think you said orphans a couple of times.
Yeah,
Is that how they feel to you, that they are kind of alive?
Well, at times they feel like my children. I don't have children in the biological sense. I taught for 21 years, and so that has a kind of a parental thing.
That might keep you from making kids, huh?
Well, there certainly was a lot of work, and Kim, I know you know about that.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, in many ways, they're the little things that resemble me in some fashion, but of course they're independent of me too. So yeah, I do that. I hope that doesn't make me sound a little strange or addled, but
I'm sorry to interject, but Blake Tedder just won tickets.
Oh, Blake, terrific! And make sure you write that name down, because that's what Blake. I will. Your name +1 will be at the door in the Wake Forest Listening Room.
We'll be in touch, Blake.
Places to see music. I love that place. So this is a song that is from the very early days of my experiments with Dadgad, one of the very first ones that I wrote with it. And that was, so I think I recorded this one and released it in 2005. It's called Shadows. It sounds a whole lot different now with my band Pillowfoot, and you can go on Bandcamp and search up Pillowfoot and find our demo. We have 2 songs there. This is one of them, and it's quite a bit more orchestrated than what this is. It's a song about memory called Shadows. I'm going to tune up a little bit better than that. Oh, there you are. How much was fiction? How much was true? In all of the hours I talked with you, stealing whole pages from books I had read, romantic ideals better left for dead. My memories fading, the outlines unclear, barely remember what happened last year. I couldn't swear to much in a court of law. The story's rewritten with every thought. If I were a painter, I'd have it all down. The lines and the colors I saw, the shadows I see on these walls might never have been there at all. Your words are always more solid for me, the ballast that keeps my ship straight on the sea. Some evaporate almost every day. How long before they've all vanished away? It is in darkness ahead in this cave. Who makes the movies perpetually played? How much was fiction? How much was true? How much of my life was written by you? If I were a painter, I'd have it all down. The lines and the colors I saw, the shadows I see on these walls might never have been there at all. Can you still feel the child that you were, as if he were real, or some stray you keep bringing home? Is it better advice to just leave it alone? Is it best to just leave it alone? Leave it alone. Leave it alone. If I were a painter, I'd have it all down. The lines and the colors I saw, the shadows I see on these walls might never have been there at all.
everybody. We are WHUP LP Hillsboro. John Gillespie here, really entertaining us this evening.
Yeah.
We're loving this music. Bob, we are fortunate to have an hour 2 sponsor.
That's right, dear listener, you have made it through to the second hour of Pass the Hat, and this second hour of Pass the Hat is sweetly provided by Matthews Chocolates, 104 North Churton Street, Hillsboro, North Carolina, the finest in chocolate and chocolate accessories for all of your chocolate needs. And let's face it,
We all have chocolate needs.
every guest on Pass the Hat gets a gift of chocolate from Matthews Chocolates. We don't know what's in the box, but we know that it is marvelous. And y'all, next Friday is Valentine's Day, which is the penultimate chocolate holiday. Do not show up at Matthews on Friday and expect to get chocolate. Today was officially the last day to place orders for Valentine's Day chocolate, but don't fret. I guarantee you, you could walk in there tomorrow afternoon, place an order, and it will be ready for you on Friday the 14th for your beloved, or maybe even just for you.
And if Matthew kicks you out and says you're too late, tell him Bob sent you.
That'll
Yes,
fix it.
That'll fix everything.
Speaking of maybe keeping it just for yourself, I've played on here on this show several times, but always with bands or with.
Now
Oh,
it's all yours.
This is the first time it's been all mine.
you could basically pour milk into that box tomorrow morning and just eat it with a spoon.
Breakfast, there you go.
I am here with more suggestions. Call anytime.
For your nutrition questions, call
That's
Kim Lane.
right.
Wow. That's just. So there was one thing that I was thinking, like, well, what are my goals for tonight? And obviously telling people about this Valentine's Day show with Alexa was the top of the heap for me.
Tell him again.
Yes, so Valentine's Day, a week exactly from today, 7:30 p.m. at the Wake Forest Listening Room. I will be opening up for my songwriting hero, Alexa Rose. It's going to be a fabulous show. We've been selling tickets really well, and so I'm just excited about. It's going to be a lovely, lovely evening.
Now, you gave away some tickets in the first half hour of the show. Are you going to give away another pair in the
I
second
do
half?
have another pair.
So stay tuned, y'all. There will be another chance to win.
Yeah. But I thought one other thing that I wanted to use this opportunity, because I don't usually get to talk just about my own music. Going back to the thing about my songs as orphans, it's like I don't do a lot of promotion for myself. And I'm trying to be better about that and doing more songwriters' nights and things like that. But also because a lot of people know me as a member of bands. And I think the vast majority of people who know my music know me for my college band, Nikki Meets the Hibachi.
A great band.
Yes, I love play, and I love that people know me that way. And so, if someone were to ask, how is this music different and distinct from Nikki Meets the Hibachi, I thought, well, I think there's really two answers, and one of them is that even when I'm in a studio and have like everything at my disposal to make a track, I don't do a lot of harmonies in my solo music. So it tends to be focused on one voice. Some of that's just laziness on my part, but some of it's by choice. And I will layer harmonies when I feel compelled to. But like the live at the Eno house was just a guitar like this and one voice. That was it the whole night.
You should hear John, though, do harmonies in a solo show. It is like,
Yeah, that would be strange.
I think it's using AI or something like
John
that.
is magical like that.
So one voice, but also my guitar playing is very different when I'm solo than when I'm part of Nikki Meets the Hibachi.
Makes sense.
And I do a lot more finger style than I do with Elaine, and so my music becomes like finger picked, one voice. It's quieter, and which sort of compels me to focus my performances more in listening rooms or in songwriters events.
Now, you've mentioned, speaking of listening rooms, you've mentioned the Eno House a couple of times. What's your connection with that venue, and how did that work out for you for the recording?
For the recording, I just called up Bill West, and I had played a lot of shows there before. Just when they started, they were very wide open. We're looking for artists, and I was like, "I'll do it," So kind of like it was like the luck of the new, which was really wonderful. That was a a really once-in-a-lifetime kind of show.
For folks who don't know, the Eno House is a decommissioned Methodist church in West Hillsboro, so it's just one big room. Not that big, but it's just a single room.
Yeah.
That used to be full of pews. I guess it still is full of pews. And then there's a pulpit that is now the stage. And walking in and looking at it, you wouldn't think this is great acoustics. But
Oh, it is.
it sounded good, didn't it?
Yes, it's a magical place in so many ways. It sounds wonderful, but also I think the fact that it was once a church, I don't know what it is about that place that audiences are absolutely quiet.
It's a listening room. It
is.
really is.
Yeah, more so than any other place I've ever played, and that is so well suited for the music, the sort of quieter music that I make by myself. It was just a perfect matching of things. This is a song that I wrote as an homage or in honor of another kind of music venue. The one that is that when you go to sound check during the day, you realize for the first time exactly how dirty it is and how absolutely sublime. It was sort of an answer to a dinner party, a church dinner prompt about what do you consider sacred spaces, and I was like, music venues, absolutely, because the joy from that kind of gathering, I think, seeps into the walls and even into the somewhat sticky floors. This is a song called A Mark. Feet stick to the floor like the beer the night before. Maybe something else better unexplored. The smell is lingering like an amplifier's ring in your ears when you wake up in the morning. And I was there and you were there with our long ass hair, not a single care. Looks different in the day, in the light everything's changed. Maybe nothing ever goes away, it leaves a trace, like time upon a face, like every mountain after centuries of wind and rain. And I was there and you were there with our long ass hair, not a single care in the world. And I'm still there, and you're still there, invisible to eyes, but part of every breath that flies. And we'll move on, making way for different songs, but whatever touched a heart can never fail to leave a mark. Oh, mark leaves mark, leaves a mark. Oh, oh, leaves mark.
We don't clap till the guitar starts ringing.
Okay, yeah. We lost Bob.
Hey, well, John, I have been delegated a task.
Oh, yeah?
And that is we're going to give away tickets again.
Oh, okay.
So
Yes.
if you like what you're hearing and you would also like to hear Alexa Rose in addition to John Gillespie, then you need to be the first person to comment tickets on our live stream. So type the word tickets if spelling is not your thing. You're in luck because I'm running a spelling bee. It's Tickets. We will also accept BA in Francais, and I don't know how to say it in any other language. So sorry. That's it. What do we got, Kirk?
John, you had given us a little insight into your songwriting process earlier that sometimes the song starts with just a little bit of a nugget. And you said, sometimes the second verse is I think you said something about that nugget being unfocused. We really like unfocused here on Pass the Hat. But
I'm lucky.
Drill down a little bit more, if you would, please, about when you get a song going, how you bring it along, or do you just let it bring itself along?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happens. I think it brings itself. It's sort of like, I have never given birth, so I don't know if this is true, but obviously you're directing it, but a lot is happening without your choice. Am I right about that?
Or really, I don't remember about 5 days of after my kid was born.
So I usually remember writing my songs, but I feel like there is a sort of it comes to it births itself, and I'm kind of just going, oh, okay, well, yeah, well, look, it looks like this is what's happening. And
Are there iterations during this process, or just is linear?
so I know so many people. You and I were talking earlier at Yonder about song circles that I think are fantastic, and I've seen them inspire so many of my friends and fellow songwriters. I don't do a lot of revision. Like when my songs come out in this kind of amorphous thing, it sometimes takes me weeks to understand what they're even about. And if a song doesn't get done in that one sitting, it usually just stays.
Interesting.
It never comes to life.
Because they are a fairly stream of consciousness, if that's the appropriate way to describe them.
Yeah, it's
and so
certainly
it would be easy to screw them up.
Yeah. I don't do a lot of revision for that very same reason, because I think that usually I'm not helping anything by doing that. But that's not to say that other people don't do a miraculous job of doing revision on their work. It's just not my style. It's not the thing that I do.
Well, what you're doing works beautifully, and we're here to get as much more music in as we can over the next bit of time we have together.
How much time do we have left?
Maybe 20 minutes.
Okay. So there's definitely enough time for these two songs. Maybe I could do one more after that.
15, 20.
Three songs.
Okay. Yeah. This one might get a little loud on the guitar.
We do not do loud.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm just kidding.
Says the guy who books the
But it is
bands
just
with
one guitar,
trumpets.
so-
We have been way louder than this in the studio before.
But I know, yes, I have seen louder things. I mentioned before that for 21 years I was a high school English teacher. And I oftentimes wrote songs based on the things that I was teaching, just because everything I was teaching was in my head. And this is one that I was teaching a handful of stories from James Joyce's Dubliners, and I didn't do The Dead because of its length. But I loved that story, and I particularly thought it was a good story to be sort of rewritten or written from an alternate perspective. And whereas the main character in that story is a man who finds his wife very troubled at the end of this dinner party, a Christmas party, because she hears a song that a boy that used to love her used to sing. And he passed away, and clearly, like she was remembering this lost love, and so it's from his perspective of realizing that his wife had this emotional life he didn't know about, and this is from her perspective, and it's called I Died Too. And it's not, the husband really isn't part of this, it's more the boy who passed away. Suddenly I heard that song. I knew all I thought was wrong. Your love cannot die. Will you ever forgive me? Standing out in the rain. If you could ever see me, now I died to that day. We were so young in life, so small and so paralyzed with what we call love. No one could ever replace your heart, your hands, your face are all I call love. Will you ever forgive me? Standing out in the rain. If you could ever see me, now I died to that day. Will you ever forgive me? Standing out in the rain. If you could ever see me, now I died too, but part of you I cannot seem to lose.
So loud.
John, your songs have a gospel quality. And what I mean by that is not I feel like I'm in church, but I feel like you take us to a musical crescendo at which it would absolutely be appropriate to say amen or throw your hands up or just pump your fist a little bit. And then you bring us back to where we're sitting.
Wow.
Have you ever
last
noticed
song
that
for
you do
sure.
that?
That's a really beautiful observation. I will have to ponder that. That's a lovely compliment. Thank you so much.
Well, you're welcome. I think it's true. In listening to your music both live and then recorded, I've noticed that it's your songs are not a narrative line. They are a whole adventure that we're taking on musically, like the music does it.
An emotional adventure. And until you said it, I hadn't thought of it that way, but I totally get what you're saying, and I can hear it now.
Yeah, and I think that that's a really nice aspiration for singer-songwriters. I think I think people would benefit listening to what you're doing, that they could take lyrics and elevate them with what you're doing by putting them, like you and I are English teachers, if we were to quite literally let them walk on a plot line and let them walk up that hill and then walk down, and physically that's what your music does, is the rhythm, and then like you do the chord changes, you could change keys at the appropriate time, and we know, oh, this is the climax, and then we're going to be brought back to our place.
And we know that classical music composers take these things into consideration all the time in what they're putting together, but I'm not sure so much that singer-songwriters do, at least not knowingly. But
I can't imagine
clearly John does.
A classical musician being as absolutely like they have to think about more than I do when I write these songs, just because I'm just fortunate that I'm working with such a short medium that I can ride the wave. It's like I'm a surfer more than I am a mountain climber, and
classical music, or people who go to see Bach and Beethoven and Handel, etc., they're deeply knowledgeable about the music and are music critics, and they will always think, oh, this high sound from the chorus coming in, what does that mean? And when the timpanis come in, what does that mean? What is that trying to tell me?
Oh, like trying to relate that to some kind of like narrative or poetic idea.
Well, right, cool. because they know that motivates people, that moves people, that draws their emotions in and guides them to a certain place. And I don't think our typical modern-day singer-songwriter really thinks about it that much, or the audience thinks about it that much. But it's still all the same emotions.
Yeah. And one of the great things about being part of the songwriting community is just that everybody has such a different style.
Yeah.
And I love that diversity. It can even be like a whole group of middle-aged guys like myself, and like, but everybody's approach is so different, and I like that. I think I appreciate these comments.
You're leading people on this journey, and it's fun to be along for the ride.
This song that I want to play now is called "Swimming Test," and it probably, like, once I heard the word drowning in the nonsense that was in the beginning of the song, I was like, oh, and I'd already written a different song that had drowning in it, so this one ended up becoming more narrative than I usually do, because I wrote it about.
Before you jump in, we just had a comment come in on the live stream from one of our ticket winners who is asking, how do we find out more about John's music? Can you remind people how to find out more about your music?
Yes. So I do have a Facebook music page that's John Gillespie NC, and that's where I post like my shows and things like that, any sort of events that I'm playing, and that includes like for my band, like the bands that I play in, as well as my own music. But to find my music, the easiest place to find me is on Bandcamp. Type in my name into Bandcamp, and boom, you will find it. There are no other John Gillespies on there. This is very different than YouTube, because YouTube, there's another John Gillespie who has like a cable access fishing show.
That's not you?
It's not me, no. And he's been killing it for decades. There's like, you have to scroll like 20 pages before you'll ever find any mention of me. So I'm just staying clear. I'm not letting the fishing guy like do his thing, because he's killing it. Great job, John Gillespie. I don't know where it's from.
Writing a fish song.
But
we need more fish songs.
Yeah, but for the person who typed that question in, Bandcamp is a good place to find my music, and Facebook is a good place to find where my shows are.
Thank you, and I apologize for interrupting.
Yeah, no problem. So this is a song, like I said, is more narrative. I graduated from UNC in 1990, and at that time, everybody had to pass a swimming test in order to
At the campus
graduate.
YMCA?
I'm not sure. I think it was like Woolen Gym or something. I'm not sure. There was.
Oh, that's right. There was a big pool down there too.
Yeah. And I put off all my PE requirements till the last summer that I was graduating, because I did that in high school too. And I had been a competitive swimmer in my youth, but all they had was beginning swimming, and they didn't mind. They're like, we don't care. So I was taking this swimming class, that was basically just designed to allow you to pass the swimming test with a lot of football players. I think most of them were linemen. They were enormous human beings. They were Adonises. They were like the Incredible Hulk, but beautiful.
Solid muscle, and they sank.
They sank. And it was the first time I realized that being a little person actually has its advantages, because these guys did nothing but it was nothing but just like timed drowning for them. And I thought I used that as kind of a metaphor for like my realizations about all kinds of class issues. Because as you can imagine, there was a huge racial disparity between my experiences swimming and their lack of it. And that was something that, it was an awakening for me. The swimming test. In order to leave college, had to pass a swimming test, as though I hadn't learned how long ago. White kids in suburban swimming pools at summertime, aimless and with no idea of what we'll need to know. I saw guys twice my size sink just like a stone. Meanwhile, I just floated off alone. It looked a lot like drowning as they fought to stay afloat. The struggle didn't serve them in the way they were told. And wherever you are, I will be the only true star I've ever seen. Someday I'll have to let it go, surrender to the undertow. Oh, I'm not drowning when hold your hand. Can we learn how to swim? In every classroom, there's so much going down. Well, I never felt like I could figure out. But it's always the same. Some things you learn, some things you fake. The former beats the latter. It's a perfect day. And wherever you are, I will be the only true star I've ever seen. Someday I'll have to let it go, surrender to the undertow. Oh, but I'm not drowning when hold your hand. Can we learn how to swim? Am I sinking like a stone? Am I floating off alone? Is there something I should know? 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 But I don't know. And wherever you are, I will be the only true star I've ever seen. Someday I'll have to let it go, surrender to the undertow. Oh, but I'm not drowning when hold your hand. No, I'm not drowning when hold your hand. No, I'm not drowning when hold your hand. Can we learn how to swim?
Y'all have been listening to John Gillespie and just John Gillespie tonight, his fantastic music. You can find his music on Bandcamp. You can find him opening for Alexa Rose on what date and what venue again?
February 14th, Valentine's Day, at the Wake Forest Listening Room, 7:30 p.m.
Be there. Bring a date. Meet someone.
It's going to be a fantastic event. John, as you have heard and seen, is amazing. Alexa Rose is amazing. It is going to be an epic event there at the Wake Forest Listening Room. And if you don't know more about the Wake Forest Listening Room, look them up because they have amazing music all of the time.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
We are going to reconfigure the studio a little bit. In the meantime, we're going to start your playlist. Or if you want to open with the first song, we'll come back and outro and then go into the music. What is it?
The very first song is the first song I ever heard by Alexa. My Nantahala bandmate Miriam sent it to me. It's called Human, and it was written during the pandemic about what we were all feeling then, and it is just one of the most beautiful pieces of poetry I've ever heard in my life.
Okay.
And before we jump into that, there folks are still listening and watching on the live stream.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, guys, we're going to turn the live stream off, but you can keep listening at WHUPFM.org or at FM 104.7 in Hillsborough. But at this moment, the live stream ends, and John's waving goodbye as the music starts.
Yeah, and please stick around. I have a lot of music I want to share with you.